Good morning. Today is a nice morning flow. It's a great way to start the day. You can do this flow every morning or something similar to it, just to help energize yourself, get all the tight muscles from a night's sleep loosened off, and just feel comfortable and start your day really well. We're going to be doing a lot of focus on breathing, and really encourage you just to take the practice at your own pace. And so no matter what, just do what feels right and focus on sensation, and that's the most important thing. I'll cue all the way today, but if you see me doing a position, don't worry about always trying to emulate it. We're going to focus on activation and sensation, and that's all that is important. Okay, to start today, we're going to stretch out our toes. You might need to take your fingers, I do as well, because my little toes don't really like to spread out as much. So spread your toes, feel the stretch in the back of your feet or in the bottom of your feet there, knees together, and we're going to just float forward over our legs into an adapted child's pose. You can rest your head on the floor, or if this stretch is quite extreme or feels quite tight for you, you can just hold your hands up here. Tune in with your breath, breathe in through your nose and out through your nose. If it's in your practice to do the Ujjayi breath, you can engage it now, where you slowly and gently constrict the muscles of the back of your throat as you inhale and exhale. Take a few breaths here as you just tune in to your body, feel where it's restricted, and feel where you're going to need to spend more attention. Gently come over to the right hand side, reach through your left hand, so you're actively reaching through those left fingers, making sure that we're really active in both hands, that we're grounding down through our feet and lengthening through our left hand side. So feeling it in the lat muscle in our back, and making sure that we're engaging through the forearms and tune into the breath still. Breathe in, and on the exhale, come over to the other side. Reaching through your right hand now, feeling the stretch and the opening in the right hand side. Keep reaching through those right fingers and tuning into that breath. See if you can start to lengthen an inhale and lengthen the exhale. Excellent. Back to center. Bring your hands about a hand's width away from your knees. Spread your fingers nice and wide. I'm just going to change position so you can see me here. Spread your fingers nice and wide. Press into the thumb and the index finger, and gently externally rotate your elbows so the eye of the elbow crease is facing forward, and just gently rock the elbows in and out, and you're going to feel that gentle stretch and mobilization in the wrists. My toes are still tucked, so I'm still feeling that stretch and the opening in the bottom of my feet. And from here, we're going to just rock back and forward, feeling the stretch in the wrist, hold here, staying engaged to the fingers, rocking back, increasing the stretch in the toes. And just do what feels good. Take your hands so those fingers are facing out towards the side of your mat, and move side to side, gently lifting up one palm and the other. Again, internally, externally rolling the elbows. We're going to put a lot of load through our wrists as we move into some of these positions, so it's really important to warm your wrists up before you start any practice. I think something that's always a priority for me. If we sit at a desk a lot, or to be honest, if we just do anything where we use our hands, which is most people, the wrist and forearms can get really tight. And fingers facing towards the knees now, bending one elbow and the other. Excellent. Feel free to untuck your toes or keep them tucked now as we move into a cat-cow position. Hand is now underneath the shoulders. Knees should be underneath the hips. Slight engagement in the inner thighs, and that's going to keep our adductors and our hips nice and square. Keep the adductors engaged, and keep the hips nice and square. Breathe in, gaze lifted, Widen across the collarbone, shoulder blades squeeze together, and as you exhale, curl up, tucking the belly button into the spine, pressing away, rolling up the spine like a slinky, chin into chest, and breathe in, roll back up. And exhale. Follow your own breath as you move up and down this movement, warming up the back before we start the rest of the practice. If you feel like taking some circles, some playful movement, do that now. Really encourage you just to do what feels right. Loosening up that lower back. I know my lower back is quite often tight after a long night's sleep. Excellent. Come back to tabletop position. Bring your right hand to the center of the mat. Inhale, still engaging through the inner thighs to keep our hips square. Reach, float your hand up to the ceiling. Gaze up, chin tucked, looking up towards your left hand. Keeping that chest open, making sure we're not caving into the shoulder. So externally rotating this bottom shoulder, left hand reaching up towards the ceiling. Breathe deep here. We want to feel the opening in our side. And again, the reason why we're making sure the inner thighs are engaged is so we don't twist. And float the hand down, thread the needle, reaching underneath your right arm, coming onto your side. Keep active in everything again, active in the toes, active in the inner thighs, reaching through that left hand, planting your right hand down to support yourself, or reaching and walking that right hand forward and feeling the opening underneath the right shoulder as well. Keep gripping through that right hand though, don't collapse into any of the joints. Breathe in. And on the exhale, walk that right hand back if it is there. Press yourself back up to all fours. Swap your left hand to the center. Inhale, reach up with your left hand. Gaze up towards your your right hand. That's your point of focus. They call that your drishti as you look up past your middle finger here. Chin tuck, long in the neck. Breathe. And exhale, float that right hand down. Thread the needle underneath your left arm now. And walk your left arm forward. Tune into that breath. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Walking your left hand in, back up to tabletop position. Raise up into a high plank. Tuck the tail, charge up your thighs, glutes squeezed, heels driving towards the back of the mat. Lift your hips up and back as you move into our first downward dog. Now you can keep your knees nice and bent here. I want you to focus a lot more on pressing your chest towards the thighs, and your gaze being up towards your navel. It really doesn't matter if the legs are straight. You can walk your dog out here. You just try and find a little bit of length and space in the back of the legs. And that's what you really want to look for. You want to feel active in the shoulders, active in the triceps, active in the core, charging up the thighs, and then opening in the back of the leg. So those are the cues and the sensations you want to be focusing on. On a deep inhale, lift your hips up high, and exhale, roll forward, squeeze the glutes, back to plank, and inhale up. And exhale forward, and flow back and forward at your own pace, following your breath. As you come forward for the last time, exhale, lower down all the way to the ground. Inhale, upward dog or baby cobra. Hands nice and planted, feet a little bit wide with the edge of the mat. Squeeze your glutes. If you've got a tender lower back, maybe coming into a cobra is a better position. Ensure that you're charging up your glutes though, to protect the lower back. Feet are flat, pressing into the ground. Don't shrug your shoulders, make sure the shoulders are pulled down away from the ears. Chin tucked, gaze forward. Feel opening in the front. If you feel any pinching or pain in the lower back, ease off. We want to focus on sensations of opening in the front, not compression in the back. And on the exhale, press yourself back up to downward facing dog. Hold here.
for a couple of breaths. Bend your legs, gaze forward, hop or walk your feet to the front of the mat. Feet hip distance apart or together, spread your toes, nice yogi toes, forward fold. Staying active in the thighs, there's nothing passive, there's always something charging up to protect us. To really help find length in the back of the legs, they want to feel supported and safe. So we charge up our thighs, they're going to feel a lot more supported. We're actually gently engaging our glutes and grounding down through the big toe, the little toe and the heel. We get a nice stable base, and that way we're going to find a lot more space. Inhale, halfway lift, feeling the opening and the stretch again in the back of the thighs and the hamstrings, long in the neck. Exhale, fold. Inhale, tuck tail, roll up to standing. We meet in mountain, hands above the head, reach up tall, tuck tail, flat lower back, glutes are squeezed, grounding down through our feet. Grab our right hand over our left wrist, side bend to the left. Opening up through the right hand side, charging up the left hand side. So we're really active in the left hand side of our body right now, and I'm still staying very grounded to both of my feet. I'm not lifting up or swapping my balance. And on the exhale, back up to standing. Grab your left wrist with your right hand, side bend to the right now, opening up through the left hand side. Inhale, belly button drawn into spine, shoulders rolled back, chin tucked, gaze forward. Drawing the belly button into the spine, glutes squeezed. And on the exhale, back up to standing. Hands up in prayer. Squeeze glutes, gentle back bend, draw the belly button into the spine, ribs drawing in, squeezing the glutes here, and breathe out. If you start to shake, so am I, that's totally normal. It's just a sign that we're energizing our body. One last deep breath in, make sure you don't feel any pinching in the lower back again. You should feel your body being strong. And back up to standing, shake off a little bit. Come to the front of your mat. If you're not there already, hands up ahead again in prayer. Step your left foot back as we move into crescent lunge, gaze lifted. Now our right knee is over the top of our right toe, left heel is driving back towards the back ceiling. We're squeezing our inner thighs. Again, it's coming up a lot today because it's really important to help keep the hips stable. Squeezing the inner thighs. This back glute on my left side is squeezed, and I'm tucking my pelvis to make sure that and you're going to feel a big opening in the left hip flexor. I'm pulling back from my right hip and pressing my left hip forward. Gaze up, hands together. If you want to make it a little bit deeper, take a deep breath. Exhale and sink down. Very important though that we feel the opening here in this left thigh and we don't arch the back. It's very common that as people come down, they just hyperextend into lower back, and that's actually quite damaging. You can get some compression there. So make sure you feel opening in the front, not compression in the back. One last deep breath. Exhale, up to standing. Turning forward, sideways, slightly internally rotating both legs, soft in the knees, forward fold, wide-legged. Hanging down, charging up the thighs again, making sure that those hamstrings feel supported, slightly squeezing the glutes, hands planted. Deep breath, exhale, let your weight hang. Make sure that you're staying active in the outside edges of the feet, grounding through the toes. Again, nothing passive, always something engaging and supporting. Walk your hands over to your left foot. Gently lower down as we come into spider lunge. Left heel lifts up. Good moment while we were stretching out the toes before. Right foot is flexed. Toes up towards the ceiling. Right thigh is engaged. Chest up. If you'd like to, you can bring your hands to the heart in prayer here, or just hold it, hands down on the ground. Lift up tall. Make sure you feel the opening on the inside of the right thigh here, and the adductor. And on an exhale, plant your right foot, walk your hands back over to the front, planting your back foot so it's facing sideways, front foot facing forward as we get prepped for warrior two. Active in the outside edge of our back foot, spiral your arms up, warrior two. Shoulders down and away from the ears, lifting up to the pelvis, gaze over our middle finger, hands level with the shoulders. Tune into your breath. Draw the ribs in. Find your balance here. Make sure you can see your big toe still, so the right knee's not caving inwards. Squeezing both of our glutes. Lifting up to the pelvic floor. One last deep breath. Exhale, float your arms down. Plant both your hands on the mat. Make sure you're engaging through the fingers, pressing into the thumb and the forefinger. Step your right foot back. You can either lower to your knees or lower all the way down, chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Excellent work. Hips up high towards the ceiling. Gaze forward, bend your legs, hop or walk your feet to the front of the mat. Meet and forward fold, inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, roll up to standing, mountain pose. Grab your right wrist with your left hand, side bend to the left. Exhale up to the top, grab your left wrist with your right hand, side bend to the right. Inhale back to standing. Hands in prayer, back bend, squeeze the glutes, draw the belly button in, ribs drawn in. And forward fold. Inhale, tuck tail, roll up to standing again, hands above the head in prayer. Step our right foot back as we move into crescent lunge on the opposite side. Sinking low as you can. Charging up both glutes, back heel driving towards the back wall. Gaze forward. Tune into that breath. Always coming back to the breath. On your next exhale, turn to the outside edge, feet slightly internally rotated, soften the knees, hinging forward, wide-legged forward fold. Staring between your legs. Grounding down to the outside edge of the feet, tune into the breath. Walk your hands over to your right foot now as you lower down, spider lunge on the opposite side. Chest up, core braced. Breathe. Walk your hand over to the front foot now, plant your front foot down, active to the outside edge of your right foot. Spiral our arms up. Warrior two on the opposite side. Gaze over our front fingers, shoulders down and away from the ears, charging up our glutes, lifting up from the pelvic floor. Don't feel any compression in the lower back. Tune into the breath. One last breath here. Float the hands down, plant your hands, step your left foot back, lower down, chaturanga, inhale, up dog, exhale, downward facing dog. Well done. Bend your legs, inhale, hop or jump to the front of the mat, meet and forward fold. Gently walk your feet out, heel toe them out so they're a bit wider than hip distance apart. Feet facing out to the side at a 45-degree angle. Elbows between our knees here, hands together in prayer. Lower bum down to the ground, garland pose or yogi squat. Chest up, gaze forward, shoulders down and away from the ears. Still grounding down through our feet, making sure we're very active through our toes, active through our glutes, active through our core. Active in our shoulder blades, active in our neck, opening up through the thighs, sort of the inner thighs and inner groin. It's good to spend a good bit of every day in a low squat. Tune into that breath. Smile. Excellent. Plant your palms down. And lower yourself all the way down to the ground. Swivel your hips round. Plant your feet. Reach forward over the end of your feet. Reaching forward over your thigh. Exhale, tuck tail, roll down to the ground. One vertebrae at a time. Engaging the core. And we'll all meet on our back. Bring your feet close to your heels, about a hand span width from your heels close to your bum, about a hand span's width away. Make sure your knees are in line with your toes. Tuck your tail, roll up, squeeze your glutes, hips pitch up into the air. Gently walk your shoulder blades underneath if you want. Clasp your hands, if that's what feels right for you today. Knees facing forward. Squeezing the glutes. Relax the muscles in the front of the body. Keep your chin tucked into your chest. Couple more breaths here. On the exhale, unclasp your hands. Walk your shoulder blades out, curl your back down one vertebrae at a time onto the ground. Extend your legs, feet to each opposite corner of the mat, hands out to the sides as we move into Shavasana or corpse pose. Let your eyes just flutter closed. Let your body feel heavy. Let your limbs feel heavy, and your eyes and body just feel heavy and relaxed. Allow yourself to melt into the floor. You can walk your shoulder blades underneath you again. See if you can tuck your tail, have a flat back. And just relax and take this time for yourself. Congratulate yourself on starting the day very well. It's a great way to start the day. You can move into the rest of the day feeling energized and very zen. That's what I hope for you. And just tune into that breath. I encourage you to all stay here for a couple minutes longer to really get the benefit of this. Otherwise, if you're in a rush to get on with the rest of your day, probably means you need to stay here longer. But if you don't have the time, keep your eyes closed, draw your knees into your chest, hug your knees into your body, roll onto the right hand side. Cradle your head with your right hand, keep your eyes closed, press yourself back up to seated. Meet in a comfortable seated position. Raise your hands above your head in prayer, bring to your heart in Anjali Mudra. I wish you a very good and happy day. Thank you for spending your morning with me. Namaste.